And we're rolling. Can you clap for me? Clap. Good.
Let's go.
It is efficient and it is practical.
It goes beyond the logic of a network.
It's a public service.
And it's for free.
It's very useful.
It's a European tool.
It's an important part of the European identity.
It's a multilingual portal.
It's a really friendly network.
It's freedom to choose, freedom to move, freedom to change my life, to change my profession.
I believe that human connection in EURES is everything.
Is a human network.
Human network.
The human network.
Human network.
Human network.
Human network.
Human network.
Today, as European citizens, we take for granted the possibility to move freely for vacation or work. Changing countries, changing jobs, changing lives. Borders today seem to be nothing more than lines on a map. But it hasn't always been this way. Before becoming what it is today, for decades the labor market in Europe had to overcome much more real and dividing barriers: linguistic, cultural and economic. In order to do so, since the end of World War II, European nations have continued to cooperate in the search for a strong, free and fair internal market. After a series of crucial international agreements between member states, by the end of the 20th century, it was clear that an efficient service was needed to facilitate labor mobility. An employment service network capable of connecting job seekers and employers across Europe in an organized, professional, and above all, human way.
When I started in 1988, the organisation promoting mobility was CEDOC. Unfortunately, it was well-meaning but not very efficient. We had a lot of migration out of the country. Our experience was that those people went in a very unprepared way. But they hadn't a job when they arrived, and many of them ended up in a very negative position. So myself and a number of other countries put some pressure on the European Commission to come up with an organisation which could deliver European mobility in an efficient way. EURES was planned by the Commission in conjunction with the Member States.
Member States sent to Brussels, the Commission, fax. No was internet at the time, was not new technology, and what we had is fax. And they showed me a big room with piles and piles of fax. And they said, do you think you can do something about that? I said, I have no idea. But if you help me with 4 or 5 national experts in employment working with me in Brussels, in the Commission, I think we can do it. And we had difficulties to reach there because it was very complex, because we have to put in agreement all the countries.
EURES was set up because in this area, in the area of labor mobility, there was no Europe there in the member states. So we had to inject a bit the European dimension in all these institutions in the member states dealing with labor, employment, labor mobility.
And we went to all the countries several times, discussing with the directors of the national employment services. But the thing was which technology we can use for that. And the technology was a kind of a change in different servers. And that was the first time member states, they opened the servers to access information or to give information. And that was the beginning. We changed the name. That means it was not anymore SEDOC, was European Employment Services. And in 94, EURES was born.
To create an efficient European network of employment services, a culture of cooperation and ongoing training had to be introduced. The immediate enthusiasm of the EURES people and their knowledge of labor mobility made it possible to get started in the right way.
When we start the first training, no, to find people, it was something new. We didn't know, and to have 50 people together from different countries and to keep 2 days training was really fantastic to see people with the motivation and the energy was there. And we trained hundreds and hundreds of Euro advisors in each country.
And how we go for trainings, I think that's where the EURES spirit, the EURES atmosphere comes from. That's where it starts. And we always say ourselves, we are the EURES family.
And that's what EURES trainings are all about building our network, our cooperation.
EURES was not only effective in fostering continuous cooperation among network members from the start, but it also adapted to the technological changes brought by the internet in the 1990s.
And I always remember that in 1993, nobody said a word about the internet. And 1 year later, we all were messed up with what is this thing of the internet. We need the internet in our computer.
So I was already there when we launched the first website. And then from that we started with working on connecting the online job databases from the member state, from the public employment services.
So instead of having maybe 5 applicants a day, we ended up having more than 300 applications online a day.
I just looked today at the website. There are 3 million jobs available on the website. I mean, that has really been a successful development. But all these things are based on the presence of the human network of EURES, of course.
The IT system has improved, but essentially the core organization of EURES and how it was organized really hasn't changed that much over the years. It's still very much a human network of committed people.
EURES is a big cooperation network in Europe, which is composed of the European Labour Authority, the European Commission, and about 270 members and partners all over Europe. It is active in 31 countries, so it goes beyond the European Union. They all work together for the sake of bringing job seekers and employers together all across Europe.
EURES has an important role to facilitate people moving from country to country, so to respond to their aspirations to live and work in another country in Europe, but also has a very crucial role in balancing the labor markets, in making sure that shortages of labor are covered and that surpluses are redistributed.
And this is done by a combination of a so-called human network. But EURES goes beyond the pure matching of supply and demand on the labor market. So one of the big advantages of EURES is that it is not only knowledgeable about job vacancies and candidates and bringing them together, but that it can offer additional services to job seekers and employers. So it's a really operational support which goes beyond the pure matching on the labor market.
I'm Ursha Fürst. I'm the CEO of the Camping Menina. I'm 25. I've lived here all my life. I worked here during summers and then I started working more and more even out of the season. And I like the dynamic, the diversity, so then I switched to management and tourism and ended up here. We have like a basic team of 60, 70 with all the students and outside workers. So it's quite challenging even to convince people, come here, it's really busy and you have to work. But still it's really nice, it's nature, it's good vibes, it's good people, young people that work together. So even with work, we still in the evenings take some time off to enjoy ourselves. We started working with EURES in 2019. It's quite helpful because everywhere else I have to do everything and arrange everything and post everything and be in contact, and here you have a person in between that helps you out. And even it's good because it's like Slovene, so I can just call and say like we're looking for this and this. I can describe a bit what different jobs positions demand, and then they do all the work in advance,
Zdravo. Zdravo, Urška. Živijo. Hvala, da si vzela čas, da se srečava, da se slišiva. Kako ste kaj v kampu Menina?
Super, gneča sezona.
Gneča, imate visoko sezono. Kličem te zato, da malo pogledava, kaj na področju iskanja kandidatov dogaja.
It's not just a platform that you put data in, you actually meet the person or you have at least like calls and you can discuss it because it's quite difficult to write everything down as well. And they come here on location, they know the campsite, they know what we're looking, they know how the dynamic goes. So it's way easier even for them to find like good employees for us. And for me, it's of course the best because it's not so many like just formals that you have to fill in, and yeah, it's a personal touch, and that's quite an important thing, especially nowadays.
I believe that human connection in EURES is everything. It's basically what makes it possible for EURES to exist. If it was just a platform, it could exist on its own and unrelated to human emotion, unrelated to human interaction. But would it stand out? Would it basically be available or be something that would be useful? I don't think so. I think that what made it what it is, what it gave him soul, it's the human interaction that involves in communicating with the EURES advisors, with EURES coordinators, with employers and with candidates.
And this is where EURES has a big role because of the combination of the human services, of the EURES portal, and also because of the types of services that are offered. If something goes wrong, EURES advisors also remain in contact and follow up to check if everything is fine, if the job seeker is happy, if the employer is happy.
I think that the human network is very important, not only for us, the people into the network, but also by the clients, because when a person is going to look for support and he or she see a person in front of him or her, someone involved in my own project, someone trying to help me to find my goal, my place in another place.
I always want to, let's say, was like a dream since I was a child in Cuba, like going to Northern Lights and things like that. And I say, okay, Sweden is the place for that. I mean, if you want to grow up, you need to fly. You need to go. I found this opportunity in EURES.
My name is Adonis. I was born in Cuba. I have been living for 25 years in Spain, in Gran Canaria, but now I'm here in Sweden. Here where I am now, I do different type of jobs. For example, I can work as a barman. Of course, as a sommelier, bringing some experience with the wines and foods to the customer. Hello, miss. This is the wine that you choose. The grape is Pinot Noir. Normally, this type of wine is a little bit fruity because at the same time have a full body. It has been in 1 year in the oak. So, do you want me to decant the wine, please? Okay. I was just in Spain searching for something different to do, and then I discovered in that moment, looking through in the website about EURES. For me, was a big surprise. They asked me about what I really want, what I really need, and they give me a lot of help because they also helped me with the mobility here to come here to Sweden. They teach me because I was at the moment, in the beginning of that time, I was like I never been in Sweden, so how can I do it there? So they explained everything to me, even also how to get here. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días.
¿Cómo andamos?
Muy bien, ¿y vos qué tal?
Muy bien, estupendamente. Bueno, aquí en Las Palmas.
Oh, estupendamente seguro entonces. A mí, sinceramente, aquí me va muy bien. Yo no me puedo quejar, la verdad, de la experiencia mía aquí en Suecia. Cumplí muchos sueños que tenía yo por cumplir, como el de las auroras boreales, el de los trineos, el de bañarme en el hielo, en el río congelado. Yo hice todas esas cosas, entonces, además de trabajar, evidentemente, que es para lo que fuimos, pero me mantenía activo con eso y empecé a meterme en el mundo del esquí, porque yo tampoco nunca había esquiado.
Pero eso es lo bonito de trabajar y vivir en sitios diferentes, como estás haciendo tú, que vas acumulando un montón de experiencias que si uno se queda en su casita, que se está muy bien, pues no las vive. Entonces, eso es lo bonito.
During all these years, a lot of people move across Europe from one place to another with our support. And for that people, I think this support has been important. And they see that support as a right, not as something, a gift, as a right. In that sense, I think EURES is very important, that people see the mobility, the possibility to move to another country, to be entitled to the equal treatment with the locals, and to have a support like a right they have as Europeans.
So free movement of workers is one of the big achievements of the European Union, so that people have the possibility to go to work in another country, that employers have the possibility to recruit from elsewhere. And this is very important from a European perspective, to have a well-functioning labor market. And that is something where European Union really has achieved good results in. But this doesn't come automatically.
We have to make sure that this mobility inside the European Union, but also with people coming from the outside, is fair mobility, and that people get exactly the rights they are entitled to, because workers in mobility have exactly the same labor rights, social rights, than resident workers. So I think this is something we really have to guarantee.
Labor mobility will remain important in the future in Europe. This mainly because of the developments that we see regarding climate change and greening, which probably will have very diverse effects of different regions, meaning then also the labor market, and this might trigger then labor mobility patterns that might either be enforcing what we currently see or be different from that.
My name is Mikkel Stefansen. I'm an HR business partner here at Semco Maritime, but I also have the responsibility for recruitment and employer branding. And that has sort of been my métier during my whole HR career. So I've been working within HR for 20 years and always specialized within recruitment. I'm working within the energy sector. So it's both oil and gas and it's renewables. During my 20 years within HR, one of the companies I've always worked together with is Work in Denmark. And Work in Denmark is a partner of EURES and a partner here in Denmark. And we've had a very good close collaboration in all of the companies I've been in. So that means that if I, as an example, were in need of welders to Denmark and the unemployment rate here was extremely low, and we then needed to attract from other countries, then I've just reached out to Work in Denmark. They have shared the job postings. They have also taken job postings with them to job fairs, invited me to participate in the job fairs together with them. And in that way, we have been able to attract competences which we couldn't find here in Denmark. So we've really gained a lot from that cooperation. One of the big benefits about working together with EURES is that they are working all together. So let's say 20 years ago when I sort of entered HR, at that time, even though EURES has existed in many years, but at that time it was not possible. So when I had a vacancy, it was challenging to find out how can I get this promoted in other European countries. So I basically, just stood with my job ad here in Denmark and could post it in a newspaper or on a potentially, later on it became a web page. But through the cooperation with EURES, where all countries help each other, are working together to promote the relevant positions in the relevant countries, that has been a really good benefit. And it's for free, so it doesn't cost you anything.
Actually, EURES has so many resources that are available in so many different places. The fact that they centralized everything in one login right now, it helped them really a lot in making possible the daily processes. Because we had information here and there, but now with one login, everything is connected.
The human network, the advisors on location at local offices really is building up a direct relationship between their clients, which can be a job seeker or an employer or both sides. And they really go into detail. They offer targeted and tailored support. They can simply pick up the telephone and say, dear colleague in the other country, I have here a job seeker. They want to know this and that. Can you give me this information? So they get really hands-on and practical and up-to-date information about the other country. And similar for the employer, if they want to recruit from another country, again, they might not know which is the best channel, where can I find good candidates, what are their expectations.
Actually, I would like to hear a little bit more about your experience. Moving to Denmark. I mean, that's really
it's quite a big change, I would say.
Yeah.
So but I think I got used to it pretty fast because I studied here.
The partnership we have with Work in Denmark, that's the partner of EURES here in Denmark, is extremely good. So I know exactly who to contact, and whenever I contact that person is just fully ready to assist me. And it has always been like that. It's easy and it works.
One of the key aspects that has made EURES the efficient organization we know today is its ability to innovate over the years, welcoming new members and partners into the network. These new entries collaborate in solving specific problems within the labor market in Europe, contributing to an increasingly fair mobility.
I am Marieke Alten. I'm working at Europlanet's Personeelsdiensten. It's a Dutch company and we are helping companies to find the right people to work there. And we do that throughout Europe.
They have quite nice and a lot of vacancies.
In Holland there are a lot of vacancies, but not so many people to fulfill them. We hire people from Europe to go and work in the Netherlands. Well, we became a member of EURES about a year ago. I think one of the key benefits of being a member of EURES is, of course, the big network we're in now, but also the knowledge of the people in that network. They have different backgrounds and, of course, different expertises. So, yeah, it's very useful because we are also looking for to connect basically with the European universities and schools as well, because there are a lot of technical vacancies in the Netherlands with a lot of different companies. And when we have that connection, it's easier to connect the companies with the people from, for example, the universities within Europe.
I've been a member since 2019. By the time we became partners, because it was a given, when the opportunity came and when our EURES coordinators here in Cyprus mentioned it, was like, yeah, we're in. We're going to do that for sure. When that came in, and the mobility and the request for mobility was amazing. We had 10 requests, 15 requests per year. We came up with 60 requests and 80 requests per year. And each year the requests multiply. For summer jobs, for full-time jobs, for trainings, for internships, everything multiplied. And the network and the platform and the collaboration, which I need to stress because the collaboration is what matters here. Discussing with our advisors, understanding the needs of their market, and making sure that we target the correct countries, even cities, when we're looking for a mobility scheme for our students. It made it possible for them to go abroad, and it makes that dream that seems unable to catch reality.
A fundamental EURES tool to address specific labor mobility issues is the Targeted Mobility Scheme. The Targeted Mobility Scheme provides job seekers and employers with customized services to find job opportunities, internships or apprenticeships, and to recruit skilled workers.
Targeted mobility schemes means, we have this huge European market. And target means it's like a sniper rifle looking for one point, and you find a solution for this point. For example, you have in one country you have a shortage in a certain industry. In another one you have a plus, and so you find a solution for bringing people to the other country and helping them to work there and find a job. And this is where EURES can help. For example, we can help for paying the journey to the job interview, or for example when the people want to learn the other language as well.
When the job seeker has got a job and they are ready to move, it's really important that they get the information on the targeted mobility scheme, that they know about this specific support that they can get. So the TMS, as we call it, that's a really good tool that we can offer, and that's unique.
The Targeted Mobility Scheme is not the only service EURES uses to support the labor market in Europe. Since its creation, EURES has considered the management of labor mobility between neighboring countries to be of fundamental interest, establishing the Cross-Border Partnership, a service that addresses the particular situation of cross-border workers. One of the largest examples of these partnerships is between France, Germany and Switzerland.
We are here in Lörrach in a special region because we are directly at the frontier to Basel, to Switzerland and to France. And so this is very dynamic. Every party contributes and brings their consultants. And so here in our region, we have the French part, this is France Travail. And we have the German part from the Agentur für Arbeit, and the Swiss is the so-called RAF, the Regionale Arbeitsverwaltung. And we have a network from about 20-25 consultants. We have our own call center. And we try to, for example, next week, I will organize a workshop for intercultural competences where we help French clients to find a job here. We have a career fair concept where we offer, for example, we make pictures of the candidates. We offer 40 fair stands where companies can present themselves. We have a special stage where we have presentations about career themes or topics. I think this is it's a nice symbol to show the cross-country bordership, the partnership of between France and Germany.
Support, tailored services, accessibility, the right to mobility, human connection. In the first 30 years of its life, EURES has been able to apply all these ideas on an international level. Thanks to the spirit that has always distinguished the people within it, the network has expanded, strengthened, resisted difficulties, and continues to work every day to overcome all the barriers to labor mobility between different countries, and to ensure fair work anywhere in Europe.
European Union has been fantastic doing great things for Europe. But at the same time, all the countries, we don't have petrol, we don't have minerals, special minerals nowadays. Our main potential is the humans. and the workers and the professionals. No?
So that's important also in the future to keep that in mind, so that everything that is done electronically, online if you like, it must be based on the human, the network, the knowledge and the services that they provide.
Every time I need something, I tell them what we need and then they just find it. I don't know how they do it, but they just send me everything that I need and they do great work. It's really convenient.
Then when we look at them being proactive, there I have to say I'm so impressed. Because over and over again I get emails, I get calls about we're going to participate in this job fair. Do you have some positions you would like to need to bring along? Do you have something where I can assist you to promote? So they often reach out to me. Extremely good cooperation with the people I've been working together with.
My advice to the young job seeker is like don't be afraid to look or to apply for a job in EURES. Because with EURES you have all the support that you need, so they will take care of you, from the beginning to the end.
When I go home after my job is done, then I can feel, okay, I made a difference for somebody. Somebody is happy, somebody's moving and they got the assistance that they needed.
Everyone helps everybody. I think this is probably one of the greatest strengths of EURES.
I hope that we continue like that and we continue to inspire people to find what they're looking for and make it possible for them to dream even bigger.
Giving people the right to have lifelong learning has to become the normality in the way how we manage our education systems, but also our labor market.